As we mentioned, we are 2 weeks from Election Day, 2 weeks from yet another complex 50-state casting and counting of votes. It's a modern miracle if you really think about it. There's a whole lot that has to go right. And by the way, it's more than just making it a free and fair election. People actually have to then believe and trust that it was a free and fair election. That's not always easy. Former President Donald Trump, plus many of his allies, have, of course, claimed and still claim that the last election was stolen, even as dozens of court cases and audits and bipartisan reviews have confirmed that the results have been free and fair. They've even complimented the process. But the doubt has created a whole world of additional doubt when it comes to this next election, all according to a new CBS News poll. The vast majority of Americans are actually bracing right now for at least a few incidents of voter fraud. And while just 6% of Harris voters think that fraud will be widespread, nearly half of Trump voters feel that way. Also, in that very same poll, while a big majority of Harris voters think the candidate should accept the results, whoever wins, about half of Trump voters say challenge those results if Trump does not win. What that means is even if America pulls off yet another free and fair election, which is what every expert says we are ready and willing and prepared to do, a meaningful number of our fellow Americans may not believe it, and that's a problem. And we haven't even gotten to the role of foreign governments and agents sowing further doubt and further confusion. Adriana, I'm worried.
We have just the person here to help us with those worries. We have Jen Easterly here. She is the head of Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, part of the DHS. Jen, thank you so much for being here.
Great to be.
So how do you know that things are so secure, and how can Americans at home do their own homework to believe what the government's saying? Because that's the problem. There's a lot of doubt.
No, I totally get why Americans have doubt in the safety, security, and integrity of our elections, because they've been subjected to a fire hose of disinformation for years, to include from our foreign adversaries, Russia, Iran, and China, who are trying to undermine that specific trust and to pit Americans against each other. I will tell you, as the lead federal government agency for election infrastructure security, I've traveled the country meeting with election officials of both parties. And they work tirelessly every day to ensure that every one of their citizens' votes are counted as cast. It's why I have such confidence and why I can say election infrastructure has never been more secure.
It's relatively easy to make the machinery of the election work. The machines, the counting, the psychology is a whole nother matter, particularly with AI. People see something, they want to believe it. How do you prevent people from being duped?
Yeah. So first, just to be clear, to your point about the technical hacking of the machinery, I just want folks to understand why it would not be possible for malicious actors to hack into our machines in a way that would have a material impact. So think about it. The machines that Americans use to vote, not connected to the internet. Over 97% paper ballots that voters can actually look at and verify. Multiple safeguards that have been put in place, cybersecurity, physical security, to protect election infrastructure from being compromised. And that includes pre-election testing, post-election audits. And then you have to understand, like, every state runs things differently. So that diversity, that decentralized nature is actually a real source of resilience. So the technical hacking can't happen, in my opinion. The perception hacking can. And that's what our foreign adversaries are trying to do. Undermine trust in the process and sow discord. We've seen our foreign adversaries be more active, using more sophistication, AI capabilities, creating fake personas, fake websites, all to create rage. You know, outrage is interesting. Facts are boring, but when it comes to facts behind our elections, it's incredibly important that Americans understand the reality.
And creating confusion is, the point of that is to try to weaken us, right? But let's look forward to election night. 2 weeks away, what are you expecting that night in terms of any issues dealing with disinformation, or are you worried about any kind of disruption?
Yeah, well, first I'll say your point's exactly right. Americans should be excited. This is a time of unity. This should be a time of hope. This is uniquely everyone empowered to have their voice heard. So we're going to be working on Election Day and the days before, the days prior, to ensure that we can provide whatever support to election officials. I will tell you, there will be things that go wrong. We're talking about an event with hundreds of thousands of election workers, tens of thousands of polling places, 150 million people voting. things will happen. They always do. There'll be a storm that takes out power to a polling place. Someone will forget their key to a polling place, so it'll open late. But election officials have been preparing and training and exercising for this, and none of these disruptions will affect your ability to vote or affect your ability to have that vote counted as cast. So I urge all Americans, get out and vote. Just remember, elections are political. Election security is not. And you can have confidence that your vote will be counted as cast.
Great information. Jenny Easterly, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. I only take issue with one thing. Facts are boring. Not on CBS. Facts are not boring.
Except on CBS.
We make them very interesting. Thank you very much.